everybody. This is Liz from Augusta. And today I wanted you to get to meet somebody from Fenton, Michigan. And he is a solo operator, and he'll be able to tell us something about that with the Augusta Lawn Care franchise. And it's so nice to be able to have you and to meet you. And if you could tell us your name and a little bit about yourself, your family, just give us a little bit of background about you.
Sure. My name's Ken from Fenton, Michigan right now. When we were going to sign up, we were originally from 30 miles away. So it was a bit of a difficult transition. Me and my wife, we only had one child at the time. Now we have two. So the actual year that we signed up, we actually moved 20 or 30 miles away.
Wow.
So it was actually kind of like starting all over from the beginning. So
you owned a lawn care business beforehand. Well, we better back up. So how did you hear about Mike first?
YouTube.
Okay. Had you been following for a long time?
No. I'm more focused on equipment rather than the business side. Mm-hmm. So I was listening to some other YouTubers that had good advice and some of them not so good advice. And I was basically looking for equipment advice, thinking the equipment was going to solve my problem. Mm-hmm. I have this problem, so what mower should I get, or whatever. And I had this brilliant idea. I'm like, I got an idea, and I'm probably the only one with this idea.
Yes.
And then looked it up and found this guy that turned all 12 of his trucks, which you got to be making a lot of money if you've got 12 trucks. Mm-hmm. And he's no more trailer. It's trailerless. And here's the ramp. I'm like, that product is great. And if this guy's doing it to all 12 of them, that's going to solve my problem. So that's the first video that I watched of his. And then slowly started to realize that the last question he wants anyone to ask him is, what should I buy?
Exactly.
What mower should I get? It doesn't matter.
Had you already bought a solo setup by then? Sorry, not a solo, but a ramp rack setup?
No, I was looking at a one particular brand, and it was twice as expensive as the one that I purchased. Mm-hmm. So I did end up purchasing one. I was actually able to fit two mowers in the back of my pickup truck. Most people don't realize it. They think, oh, well, you just don't have very many lawns if you're putting it in the back of your truck. That's not true at all. I had a 36-inch stand-on and a 52-inch stand-on in the back of my pickup truck.
Wow, that's amazing.
And I drive around, and I get guys that were hauling 16-foot trailers with one mower on it, looking at me funny, like, how did you fit? You don't need it. So again, the equipment's going to solve my problem.
Right. So back to you listening to him. This had to be huge for your wife when you're already running a business, you said. And how many customers did you have?
I went from 30 to 60 in one season. So the amount of
60. You had 60 when you came to Augusta.
Correct.
And were you able to transfer the same 60, or when you moved 30 miles away, did you have to completely start from scratch?
No, didn't have to completely start from scratch. I just increased the price of everyone that was 30 miles away.
Okay.
I already had, I was learning the 20% attrition rule. Mm-hmm. I learned that from Mike. I had no idea that happened every year. Why did I keep losing people every year? I don't understand. You do the math. I was losing 6 to 12 people. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So I increased the prices on quite a few of them. Try to keep my route density as tight as possible, and end up having 2 days work that was 35 miles away. I have an app on my phone where I track my mileage, and I'm anywhere between round trip 75 to 100 miles each day that I would go to my old customers. And then I only had 1 day of customers in my new hometown.
Wow. So when you raised the prices, how many did you lose on the 30 miles away?
Probably 20%. So it was another 12, another 10 to 12.
Yeah. So how many do you have now of that group that's the 30 miles away? Have you tried to get rid of all of them? Yeah. Smart.
Yeah.
Smart. So when you moved, did you physically move your home and your family?
Yes.
And was that because you had joined Augusta, or what was the reason?
Church.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Our church was like 30 something miles away, and we started going to a new church that ended up being like 27 miles away.
Hmm.
And the town that it was in was really great. My wife had mentioned it a few times. Every time we drive through here, it's so nice. I'm like, yeah, it is nice, but not a whole lot I can do about it. And one of the elders of our church, after Sunday school, said, "Come here." I said, "What's up?" And he goes, "I have a house to rent. You want it?"
Wow.
And I said, "I don't have good credit. I pay for everything cash. I'm like 40 something years old. I've always paid cash. I'll do a $10,000, hardscaping job, and I'll make a ton of money, and then I'll just I'll buy trucks, mowers, didn't matter. I just pay
Yeah.
cash." And he goes, "I don't care."
Wow.
So
So you moved to go to church and your wife supported that. But
yeah,
what did she think when you were switching from solo guy by yourself to joining a franchise?
what did I think?
No, what did she think?
She had a hard time justifying the cost of it.
Yeah,
She didn't understand that paying X amount into a company and then paying a monthly bill,
right.
what that meant. And I kind of had to explain it to her. Most of my customers can mow their own lawn.
Okay.
They don't want to mow their own lawn. They
Right.
want their time back.
Right.
I said, because she knew that I wanted to franchise my own company.
Okay.
Um, for the very first year, it was my name. My last name's Lynn, so it was Lynn Lawn and Landscape. People thought my first name was Lynn,
Hmm.
so it got really confusing. I also learned from Mike, if you're going to start a company, don't name it Bob's Lawn Care Service.
Exactly.
Mike Andy's Lawn Care Service. It doesn't work that way.
Nope.
They're always going to be looking for Mike Andy's every single time. Well, Mike is not in the office today.
Yes.
So I changed it per his YouTube advice. So I never actually talked to him. So I named it a very generic name, and I was going to franchise that. And I explained, because it was like the light bulb went off in my head.
Mhm.
I got an idea. This is going to work. It's got a route density plus this plus that. And I explained everything to my wife probably 1,000 times, to the point where she actually sounded interested. I'm like, oh, okay, what would you do about this? And so when I said, I got a better idea, somebody else already figured it out.
Yeah.
All I have to do, and it's going to be cheaper for me to sign up with them who already figured it out than
Hmm.
for me to do it on my own.
You were
And
doing a sales pitch.
yeah. And she was like, how? It's this much money. It's X amount of money. And I'm like, trust me, this way is cheaper, faster, and probably more efficient, because now I have a team. I don't have to do it all by myself.
Yeah.
So that's how I was able to convince her.
Okay, cool. I want to go back to her because I
Mhm.
remember meeting her and it was
Mhm.
really nice to meet her and get a little bit of her side of things. And so when you decided you wanted to become a franchise, or maybe you just had been listening to the content, did you book a call with Mike or Lee to
Yeah.
just ask some questions or see what it was all about?
Yeah. Back then it was with Mike always. So
Okay.
I booked 3 calls. First one was just introductory rate. I actually want to get a feel for him. Um, to see what type of business person he was, because he really sounded like he knew what he was talking about. But some of those other guys on, those other talking heads that you see on YouTube. So I got a good feeling the first call, and the second call. So that I don't even remember any questions I asked him that time. I
Really?
remember the personal questions that I asked him, but I disguised them as business questions. Like at the end, I'll give you an example. At the end, I said, "Do you mind if we pray to close out this meeting?" He goes, "Absolutely." And he removed his hat, and that was it.
You were probably blown away
I was
because
like, okay, well, that just means he's genuine. So, all
yes,
right. So now my next call is going to be like, how much is this stuff? How much do I have to pay?
right.
Because that was, again, my number one concern. Like, I'm making X amount of money and I got to throw everything back into the business. Now I
Mhm.
have to do a franchise too. How much are you guys going to help me
Right.
to do that?
Yeah.
I got all my questions answered that time. It was the third one that I had finally moved.
I
And
see.
And that's when I was like, okay, now what do I do? I'm really going to need your help now. I
Mhm.
don't have any customers here. In my very first year, because the sign up date and everything when my website went live was like February or March.
Of what year?
So 22, was it?
Okay.
Yep. Because this is my second year.
Yes. Okay.
Yep. My website alone got me 30 customers, and I didn't do any advertising, zero.
Nice.
Yep. So I was able to replace. So I just had one day that was the 30 miles away, and going there and coming back, I would, less than 8 hours total round trip. I was making in one day what I would make in one day here at home, but I had so much less mileage. So anyways, the point is that Augusta built that website, the SEO ranked. I got as many people as I could to give me a 5-star, and still under 30 5 stars at the time, at 17 or something like that.
Yeah.
It was still enough to rank me number 1 unsponsored.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I was number 4 on the list. They always give you 1, 2, 3 sponsored. Number 4 was the only one that said it's not sponsored. Augusta Lawn Care of Fenton.
Sweet. So that should have been convincing. But if we go back to those first 2 phone calls, basically you were listening to him online, but you were calling him to really vet him as a person and see if what you saw online was what the guy really was. And then the third one was really asking the questions about the franchise specifically. Was that with Mike, or was it with
that? Yep. The last one that I had was still with Mike, and that was when he first told me about the solo operator model.
Okay. Was that new?
Yes. In fact, my class was the very first class that ever went through.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about what the solo operator model is for those who don't know?
Sure. Basically, when it comes to most of the admin work, you're responsible for that, because the assumption is that you have time to do it yourself. You can have command center answer calls and that sort of thing, but when it comes to return calls, that's on you. When it comes to scheduling, that's on you. That sort of thing. So command center still never misses a call. And then it goes to you and the CRM that you would be using. And you go through that to schedule appointments, call customers, and so on.
So why were you wanting to go the way of solo? So if you can tell the listeners, there's growth and then there's solo, but I think that the solo helps you get your foot in the door a little bit quicker. How was that for you? How was your thought process?
So at the time, I'd heard about it for the very first time from Mike on that call. So he said, I think you would be better qualified for the solo operator model. And he explained it and how much it costs and what the difference was. And I said, I don't want to do that. And he goes, oh, okay. I said, no, I worked very hard this year to save up $20,000 of extra money. And it's the very first time I've ever actually had 20 grand extra that didn't go to somewhere else. So no, I want full service. And he explained why that wasn't a good idea at first.
Why did he think it wasn't? Is it because you needed the 20,000 plus you needed marketing dollars and you needed to change out your trucks and all that? Is that why he said that? Yep.
I already had 2 trucks, which he'd recommended you don't need. You only need one at a time. And the painting, tools to organize your truck to make it look professional, advertising, that sort of thing. Even as much as like backup equipment, to have enough money to rent a machine or buy a new one or whatever it was. If I would have spent it all, I wouldn't have enough left over to do those things that I needed to do. So it's not just at the time it was 20. I think it's more now, but you need that extra money, so I needed to count the cost of everything, not just the one thing. So.
Right. And so you decided to go ahead and go with the solo. And then how long after that did you come up for training?
I originally was supposed to come December 5th. So maybe my class wasn't the first one. Maybe it was the second one. But I was originally supposed to come then. And I couldn't because my wife had our second baby November 29th.
Yeah, that's fast.
Yeah. So we were like, no, that's not going to happen. So when I did come, our baby was, a couple months old. And so I couldn't even stay for conference. Like I was there.
Oh, wow.
I was there for 3 days of training, and I couldn't even stay for Summit Conference. And it was like at the hotel right across the street from the hotel that I was staying at.
Wow. And that's because you needed help with the kids, right?
Yeah. I had to go home. She's from England.
Okay.
So none of her family's here.
I see. So
And
she
then,
and her toughing it out.
she toughed it out for a week.
Yeah, let's go back to her for a little bit. So I saw the two of you in Louisville at the expo, and I believe it was last year. So that means
Yep.
you would have done like February, March, April, May, June, up to October. And that's when I met you, correct?
Correct.
Yes. So when I met her, she was not liking any of it. She was not happy with what was going on. She was not happy that you had switched. And that's what she was saying, right? Just expressing how maybe she had just felt that at the beginning.
Yes.
And it was so nice to talk to her and to get a real feel for what it's like. And now you're saying she's from England. So not only is she over here in the US, maybe doesn't have a grasp on how the businesses work here either, and business in general. And so it must have been felt like such unrest and everything to be having all this transition. Was she coming from England right when you got married or right before
Yep.
you met? Yeah, so that's a lot of change in a couple years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When we were just talking before we became a couple or engaged or whatever you want to call it, she said, so what, she told me what she did for a living. She worked at similar to like a Walmart over there. She'd asked what I do for a living, and I said, I'm a landscaper. She goes, oh, okay. So you do this, this, and this? I said, no, actually, I don't do any of that. I just cut grass. She goes, you just cut grass? That's it? I said, yeah. And she goes, you can't make a living doing that. That's not agree to disagree. Nope, I can. Yeah, I make pretty good living doing that. And she goes, all by yourself? You don't have like a crew? I said, no, just me.
Wow.
Yeah.
She married you anyway.
Yeah. Well, when I showed her my bank accounts.
That's how you had to prove it, huh?
Yeah. No, I didn't have to show her any of that, but no, I explained it to her. And how much it is per cut. You do this many cuts. She's like, oh wow, that's a lot. People are going to pay that. It wouldn't. No one in England would pay that. I was like, yeah, unless you lived in a castle or something like that. Nobody's. Yeah. So, anyways.
So a ton of transition for her, and now she has 2 kids, so she's not sleeping or any of that. And then you're starting a new business with this Augusta place. Was she able or even interested in listening to any of the content to understand better, or was she just like, this is just too much? Just go make the money, and I don't want to talk about it.
Probably more of the second one. When she doesn't understand something, and she's not the type of person to go, well, explain it to me.
Yeah.
Well, I am. I'm like, how does that even work?
Right.
When somebody draws up numbers on a whiteboard, I'm like, I get it. I was wrong.
Yep.
You were right. Now I'm going to say the same answer that you just told me, which now makes me right. Now, when I tell people, here's how this works, I'm not giving them wrong information anymore. I'm now correct because of the help of that other person. She's just like, I trust you. It's fine. Just go ahead. So she kind of focuses on that.
So we're a year later after like the worst of the summer rush. And is she doing better with view of the business and everything?
Oh, yeah. A lot better. The very first year when I kept getting my phone to go off all the time. You got grass all the time. That's my voice, by the way. I recorded that years ago.
By the way, everybody, that's his notification when he gets a text or an email. You've got grass.
Yeah. So I guess I don't know. She just her biggest stumbling block, I guess, would be, why do you have to pay this much for this thing? And when I explained it to her, that you get X amount out of it, I explained Command Center. I explained the website. I think actually what actually finally got her to completely understand why the monthly bill that I would be paying every month just to be part of somebody else's company
Yes.
was good was I actually ran down each service that Augusta offers
Mm-hmm.
separately.
Smart.
So web care design,
Mhm.
$3.99 per month,
Mhm.
that sort of thing. So I went through all of it, added it all up, and it was literally twice the amount that just joining Augusta would be.
So you're saying that people could buy the website, have their website built by the web design team, and you're saying they could have all these different things, pay for them all separately, but to add them all together, it was double the price it would be for your monthly fee of the franchise.
Correct. I actually told her, I said, it's literally 50% savings.
Yes,
And she
that's
went, oh. Well, if we're going to save half, I said, yeah. I mean, if I had to pay for all that separate, which some people do, some people are part of the Facebook group, Lawn Care Millionaires,
mhm.
and they're totally on board with the message that Mike Andes puts out there. Anyone that is part of that. So I know that you put things on there sometimes. Lee puts stuff on there. And most of the time people are like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I like that idea.
Mhm.
Lawn care not web design, but the media, where
Yeah,
you can order.
like a door hangers and all
Yeah,
those.
you can order this stuff. You can order these things. You can order all that stuff, add it all up. Yeah, or I should say, they agree with all that, but they have a company that's making 500,000 plus per year.
Mhm.
Switch over. Mike will actually be honest with them in a call, in a counseling call, coaching call, whatever, and say, just follow the system and stick with where you're at. Keep your
Mhm.
pink trucks or whatever it is.
Right.
You don't have to go paint them all yellow. You don't have to buy, a bunch of uniforms like this. You
Mhm.
don't have to switch everything over
Yeah.
just to make your location more successful.
Mhm.
You're still doing all the things that Augusta would do, but
Mhm.
you have a blue shirt instead of a yellow shirt. It doesn't matter. It's fine.
Right. But there's other things that are a benefit to us as being a part of Augusta. Would you say that you have more connections, more support, more friends? You understand business better because of the kind of people you're
Mhm.
surrounded by in the Augusta community?
Yes. I mean, yeah, right now there's 120, 130 other locations. I can contact any of them. Any one of them will answer their phone.
Yeah. Have you had rough times when you feel pretty low or not sure what
Mhm.
to do and you can reach out to some of them for help?
Yep, I'm part of a group right now, the Solo Operators Group, run by Garrett Smith.
Nice. That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So just for the listener's sake, is it 7,000 up front and then 700 per month, or what do you pay?
Yeah, well, at the time, the pricing was a little bit different. The monthly bill was still the same,
Okay.
but yeah, it's still $6.99 per month, and then whatever your command center fee is. And I've honed it down. It used to be like $1,000.
Hmm.
I've honed it down. I've gotten it down to like $200-300
So the difference is you just get phone calls, and what else would you get from command as a solo operator?
from
Best.
command. There's actually a list,
Yep.
and I don't really know off the top of my head. Do you know what it is? Because I don't
I do.
remember.
I do. So you get like the newsletters.
Yeah.
They can all come pouring into a specific email that command has. And
Yep.
then all day it just pours in. So there's your estimates, your phone calls, your get quotes, which are called the newsletters, and then your contact forms, which is on what's everybody's website that
Yep.
pops up and asks the customer what they would like for services. When
Yep.
they click submit, then that comes in. So those are basic things,
Yep.
but they're
Basic
better
things.
than nothing.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to what Augusta calls a basic service, to me that's premium service because I've never had that. I've never
Yes.
had any of that before. So to hire somebody, even part time, to answer my phone,
Mhm.
have it like routed from like my work phone
Mhm.
to somebody else's phone and answer it and say, Ken's lawn service or whatever,
Yeah.
and then take everything down in the from the email, anything like that. It would cost me way more.
Yeah, and to deal with difficult customers, if you had an office assistant, they would be instantly calling you, asking you to do with the difficult customer because they wouldn't know what to do.
Yep. Yep. Exactly right. So just having people call in, um, I've only had a few of them where they were really, really difficult customers that needed to be let go, which I would then, my very first one, I learned from one of your videos on how to let a customer go.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I let them go.
Awesome. Can you tell us about that a little bit, just for those listening, how they could do that?
Yeah. Had a customer that was really, really picky, very particular, calling like 3 times to complain. Went there to find out what was going on. Everything looked great. You missed a spot. There was no spot that was missed, but it wasn't perfection.
Mm-hmm.
For what I'm paying, I should get this and I should get that, So, and I don't want to come across as judgy in any way. I don't know what was going on in their life. They may
Right.
have been dealing with some things. I just got done dealing with a customer that yelled at me on the phone, and I was going to fire this customer. Turns out that she was just having a lot of stress in her life. She helped her sister just have a baby. I ended up calling in, taking care of the problem and smoothing everything out. And then she ended up giving me a 5-star review.
Nice.
Right. So this other customer that I had to let go, I was just very professional there. Tried to the best of my ability, keep my mouth closed while they were complaining about the work that I just did. I said, all right. And so what I did was, from what I learned from Augusta, is it's we, not I.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry about that. We really strive to give our customers the best quality that they're paying for. So we're really, really deeply hurt that you're not satisfied. Let me give the office a call. Let me talk to the higher ups. Let me do this. Let me do that. Let me give them a call.
The army of one.
Yeah, and I'm an army of one, and they have no idea, because at some point I'm going to be an army of 50.
Exactly. Yes.
And I don't want any of them to go, yeah, I've been with you for 10 years. Why can't I talk to Ken? Ken was the first guy that ever mowed my lawn. Because Ken's on vacation. That's why. Ken's with his family.
Lunch.
Right. Eventually, I told my wife, I said, this is how I want to run my business, just from this guy. All my guys can call me, text me anytime they want. I'll consider that office work. But anyways, so I left. I listened more than I talked. 2 ears, one mouth. I used them in proportion. I left and thought about it and realized that, after so many complaints, there was just no way I could help. So I didn't mean, this may come across as lying, being untruthful. I didn't do it on purpose, but what I did was I called her and I said, hey, this is Augusta Lawn Care of Fenton calling you back to kind of resolve the issue that you had. And she goes, yeah, Ken came out and talked to me, and he was a nice guy. Is he going to take care of me? And I said, well, here's the deal. And I never said I was him.
That's good.
I never said I wasn't him, though, either. And I said, this is how we're going to have to handle it. And I wanted to feel her out one more time to see if she was just frustrated, and that was it. She was just a disgruntled person that needed to figure something out on her own, and I could not help her. So I basically let her know that Augusta wants to help you and help your lawn and help your schedule as best as we can. And if that means that we have to bow out of doing your work to suggest that somebody else take your job on, because that would be best for you. We're not going to be best for you. Somebody else is going to be best for you. That's where we're at right now. So if you'd like, we actually know some people in the area. We can refer you to them. They can call you, or you can call them. We're just not going to be able to do it. We're not going to be able to service your property the way that you need us to. She actually calmed down from that and said, well, I appreciate you guys being honest with me and saying that you can't take care of it. But yeah, I'll find somebody on my own. I said, okay, good luck to you.
Way to go. That's great. That's
I I wanted to yell at her.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. But some people are meant for personal gardeners, not at the rate that we're moving and the speed at which the guys need to go.
Right.
Take P for P. And sometimes we tell them if we have to keep going and going that we are trying to pay our team a livable wage and they're trained to do your job and move on. So if you have a little more care, then we ask that you get a personal gardener.
I've told people before, I said, nobody's going to be able to do the quality of work on your lawn that you can do. So whatever you are used to doing, I've had people say, oh, it takes me an hour to do it. Why are you only here 10 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I always say we're going to give you a B+, an A-, an A job.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be rare, very rare when we can give you an A+ job or an A++. We're going to give you 100%.
Right.
We only have so much time to dedicate to your lawn, because if we dedicated too much time to your lawn, then everyone else suffers. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to have 10 customers mad at me instead of just the one.
Instead of just you, lady.
That's right.
Or you'll have to raise her price. So that kind of times.
Yep.
Yeah. So I have noticed that you are one of the best supporters of Augusta on every level. Like, you are on the Facebook, you're supportive in every way. What is it about you that makes you so supportive and always there with a kind word about Augusta, no matter what you might be feeling or anything? What is it that makes you feel like you need to be like that?
I'm awesome, and I'm also humble.
That's beautiful. That's very balanced.
I'm going to write a book. No, I think it's because I am in the trenches right now, and I was further into the trenches a while ago. And I have referred many people on different Facebook groups to Augusta. My number one thing that I'm promoting right now to people is Copilot. People ask all the time, what should I use? And you get random guys in there. These forums have nothing to do with Augusta. And they'll say, Google Calendar or whatever, I still use pen and paper, and I simply type in copilotcrm.com, and the website thing will pop up. All I got to do is click on it. The reason why is because I really wish somebody would have done that with me. I wish that somebody was there to tell me there's a better way to do it. I mean, I came up with all these ideas, these great $1 million ideas that Mike has already done while delivering pizza, and going, oh, I got an idea. I'm like, I don't want to deliver pizza anymore. I don't want to be dependent upon the customer's tips, that type of thing. So I want those people to know. I want Augusta franchisees to know, and I want people that aren't even part of Augusta to know that there's a better way.
So it's because you care about other people, and you know where you were and where you are now.
I want them to succeed.
Yeah, it's a team. Yeah. Much appreciated. So I just wanted to acknowledge you for always being so supportive and positive and caring of others. Thank you. Let's talk a little bit about what you got rolling with your crews and everything. So you're by yourself because you're a solo operator, and you plan to grow more, I'm sure, but you've had 2 springs. How did they compare for you?
The 2 springs back to back?
Yeah.
First one, like I said, I didn't do any advertising, didn't spend any money. I had enough customers to survive through the winter. Knew that I had to grow for the next year, so I spent about $5,000 in advertising. Mailers, lots and lots of mailers.
Did you do snow removal or any winter services? Okay.
Yeah, snow removal. Not a whole lot of people in this area have ever heard of winter services. They don't. Okay. That doesn't make any sense to them. So I'm going to have to either be a better salesman or sell something else. Okay. I did snow removal. Barely made enough money to deal with that. But then, yeah, went into spring rush with a plan. I actually sold a dump truck. I had 2 trucks, and I sold the big expensive one, and it ended up selling for half of what I wanted.
Oh man.
Yeah, so I actually lost a little bit of money. I lost 3,000 on it. Yeah, yeah, that hurt. But I ended up taking that money and took 5,000 of it and made it grow.
Awesome.
So it was worth it, and I actually wouldn't have used that dump truck at all this year. Not once.
So you only have to put up with yourself so far, and have you and the customers have to put up with you. But do you break yourself up into roles? So, like I mentioned before, army of one. Do you think in terms that if I had an employee, I would have them do this and this and this, and this would be my assigned role? Are you already thinking that way? Just in case, or not in case, when you get an employee, like, do you do videos for yourself of the jobs?
No,
Not that yet.
I should. I think my number one hiccup right now, and for anyone watching this video later on, this isn't going to be your hiccup. You got no excuse. Is the transition from the one CRM that we are using to the next, to the final CRM that we're going to be using. I haven't fully transitioned myself because I don't have any support from Command Center for it. So I basically just been trying to just get by, trying to grow a little bit. Yeah, trying to survive. The amount of money that I have coming in, X amount goes to bills, and then the rest stays in the business account. And I'm trying to grow that as much as possible so that I can do something with it. I know it's a bit of an excuse or a cop out. I don't have a lot of projects coming in right now because I haven't been advertising them. The ones that I do have come in, I overprice them. Most people say yes. I overpay my guy to do it. I come there with the projects truck. I drop off all the tools, explain everything, power tools, hand tools, all that, wheelbarrows, whatever. Explain everything, walk it through them. And let them know this is going to pay X amount for the day.
Is that a subcontractor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So not an employee of your own, but if it's a bigger project, you subcontract it out and you still get a cut of that.
Yeah. Correct.
And it's still under the umbrella of Augusta, right?
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And are they pretty respectful about being representing Augusta brand and you?
Yeah. Yes, they are.
So you have a good relationship with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's great. So when you go to things like the summit, how is that for you? Is it an encouraging time? Do you feel strengthened by being with landscapers from everywhere and being a part of Augusta there? Tell us about what that's like for you.
Well, this year will be my first.
But right, because you had to leave. You did training and then you left.
Had to leave.
Oh, that's so exciting for you.
Yeah. So this year, when Mike decided to have it the same week in the same location as GIE or Equip Expo, I can make it now. I can drive. It's a 6-hour drive.
I love it.
So I can make it.
So nice. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So when he first announced it and what hotel it was, the Omni Hotel, I actually just went straight onto the website and booked those 2 nights.
After you picked yourself up off the floor, how expensive it was going to be.
Goodness gracious, what, $300 a night or something like that?
Yeah, but I would do the same thing because I would rather be right where all the action is happening.
Yep, that's exactly what it was. So it was 2 nights, $300 a night. But I'm right in the exact same hotel, so I just have to walk downstairs. And then the other 3 nights, total $200 for 3 nights at a different hotel, and I'll be there hanging out with you guys at Equip Expo.
I find that it's the same for any event I go to, even if it's more expensive. I try to stay in the hotel that the event is being held at. Like I went to a real estate conference and I tried to stay in the main hotel because I knew I would have more of an opportunity to meet the people that were handling the conference, meet their team, And the same when we did our thing in Memphis, I wanted to stay in the same hotel so that we'd be running into each other at breakfast or
Correct.
at the gym or wherever. It was still, everything was still about being together at that event.
Yeah.
It was really nice.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be worth it.
It's not often that you get a platform to be able to share with other people your own experience about being a business owner, being by yourself, what that can feel like sometimes. If you were talking to somebody in your place, first of all, how many customers do you have?
40 something.
40 recurring. So if somebody was exactly in your position and was wanting to move forward either with Augusta or just not Augusta, but just in their business, what kind of encouragement could you give to them?
I actually have somebody that lives about 60 miles away that's in that exact same position. This is his first year solo, his first year full time. He used to be a police officer. He took all Mike's advice, and he got so busy he had to quit his job.
Wow.
So what I tell him is, whenever he asks me about equipment, I always tell him it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
True.
That sort of thing. I usually plug different videos to people. A lot of people that will ask on the Facebook forums, what I do about, I'm 16. What do I do about this?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I usually just say follow, and then I type in Mike's name.
Oh, that's smart.
It's clickable.
Yes.
If they've never heard of him, like, I've never heard of this, click on it. It'll go right to his page. So, yeah,
yes.
That's usually what I do.
That's good. So on the people that are hearing now that might be really discouraged, would you tell them they should give up, or what would you tell them to keep going on? How can you encourage them?
Well, that's actually a good question. I would think that at some point, if something's too overwhelming for you, then you've hit personal capacity, and you do have to reevaluate whether a standard job would be okay for you, and to weigh those pros and cons out. Why did you quit your job to begin with, to start mowing lawns? Because the reason you did that is the reason why you should not go back to that job.
Smart.
So if you can keep the end in mind, or start with the end in mind, you quit your job for a reason. Yes, this is hard and this is overwhelming and stuff like that. I would probably encourage them to step back just a little bit. Somebody on some forum said, I had to keep turning people down. I said, don't turn them down. Give them a higher price.
Yes.
And he said, he responded back with, that is the most intelligent thing I've ever heard anyone say, and that will stick with me the rest of my life. And I'm like, goodness gracious, that's not even my line. I'm just repeating
common knowledge to you, though.
Yeah. And he said, well, what do I do with all the other customers? I said, raise their prices too, until you lose enough customers that you're at the number you want to be at. And then you're not overwhelmed anymore. He said it was some sort of long, drawn out paragraph long. I'm hitting the wall. I'm burned out. I've got too many people calling. I'm thinking about not advertising anymore. All the typical stuff. I said, just raise your prices. So anyone that's their first year, maybe they have their full-time job still. Maybe they had to cut back on their hours. They're like, I got 30 customers and I still have a full-time job. And, I would tell them there's a reason why you did it to begin. Right. If you just want to be a weekend warrior, there's nothing wrong with that. Go get your LLC. It's like $50 or whatever, and pay your insurance and overcharge all the time. For a $40 cut, charge $60. You're going to get you're going to get a lot of people not wanting to sign up, but the ones who do will actually be worth it.
Yes, for sure.
And then you're going to go from 30 down to 20, but you're going to love those 20 people.
Yeah, that's true.
None of them are going to be cheapskates. And then you'll be able to handle it. You'll actually be able to spend more time and less stress on those 20 customers. And then you're still a weekend warrior. What are you spending it on? You want a new boat? You want to pay a few extra bills? You want to go on vacation? Go ahead and do that. But at some point, you're going to realize, if I doubled or tripled what I do on the weekend, I don't need my job anymore.
Yeah, for sure.
Keep that same mentality.
Yeah.
That $30. Everyone's charging $30 around here. Well, not you. Don't charge $30, charge 35 or 40 or whatever it is. Everyone's charging $50. It's so cheap. So some markets are way higher than others, you know.
Mhm.
I can't survive on $50 a lawn. Well, then charge 70 or 80. You know, only take those high ones. And then when you can double or triple that, you don't need your job anymore. And then you've already built that clientele of the exact type of people you already want, not the ones that, oh, I got to deal with so-and-so today. Don't worry about it.
So I see a common denominator in a lot of what you say, and that's what you and I are immersed in the content because we follow it every day. We
Yeah.
hear Mike's minutes every day.
Yeah.
And we know all these things because we've been immersed in this knowledge. And it's quite remarkable that our whole goal is to change the professionalism in the landscape industry. And when you share and help all these people, they may never come to Augusta. That's not what we're looking for.
Correct.
The fact that you're giving that kind of advice and they go out and act on it, and you're like, oh, that wasn't even my line.
Yeah, it wasn't my line. I stole it.
It's because it's ingrained in us, right? And so right
Yes.
away, oh no, you should do this. And where did we get that? You know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of cool that we are together changing the professionalism in the landscape industry, and I appreciate you for that. So in closing, do you have a quote for us or anything you'd like to share?
Probably not a favorite quote. I like to respond to good and bad things with like movie quotes.
Okay.
They are either have nothing to do, you know, completely taken out of context, but yet it makes sense for that because it makes you laugh. Think
Yes,
about it. You're just like,
pull all those one-liners out of the Grinch. Is that what you do?
yeah, or Anchorman or Groundhog Day or some sort of great movie where somebody's seen it 1,000 times and they're like, I know that exact quote, but it has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. But how does that make sense? Well,
Yeah.
It's Groundhog Day again, where we're mowing lawns again. You know, it doesn't matter. You can just something funny because I don't know if it was a movie or what, but I've heard this a lot. Somebody starts complaining and saying something's bothering them. You could always say, "But did it kill you?"
Right, I've heard that one too. But did you die?
But did you die? So it's like, no, you'll be okay. You'll be all right. So I probably think that, you know, in the current state of everything that I'm dealing with right now, I think probably the quote that pops up to me the most would be, I came to mow grass and chew bubblegum, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
There you go. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. All right. Well, with that, very wise words of wisdom.
Sure.
We'll close out the day. Thank you so much for your time. It's much appreciated.
Thank you, Liz.
Have a nice day.
You too.